this letter that we just heard, which is really a mini message from Jesus through the Apostle John to a group of people, Jesus followers in this city of Philadelphia, it really, in so many ways, we won't be able to talk about all of them today, but in so many ways, it's kind of a bucket list mini message. It's like a little bucket list mini message from Jesus to a group of people. There's multiple things that you could say are in Jesus' bucket list inside this letter. How many of you, whether you've written them down or not, you have some level of a bucket list? Maybe you've just thought, these are the things I want to do before my time on earth is done. These are the things I want. Man, the rest of you got to start living, okay? I mean, I don't know, like either that or you can't vote in church. I don't know what it is, but the rest of you got to like, get a life and get a dream here, people, okay? But like the bucket list thing, like I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this experience. I'm going to see this group in concert. I'm going to hear this band. I'm going to get to this part of the world. We're gonna have this experience as a family, or my friend group, we're gonna do this, or I'm gonna make this team, or I'm gonna be a part of some team that makes this event. Like just these bucket list ideas, right? And I've got some bucket list again. I probably haven't ever really written them all down, but I have all these things. It's like, man, if I could do that, or if I could meet that person, or maybe if my family and I could experience this together. And some of them I've been able to experience. I've had an opportunity to maybe mark some things off the bucket list along the way. And one of them I got to experience just last summer. So I am a sports fan, and so there is this slice of bucket list things for me that revolve around sports. And some of them are so far off the radar that I just don't know. Like, it's going to take something overwhelmingly supernatural to make them happen, right? One of them that maybe feels attainable, and lots of people have done it, is I want to get to every single Major League Baseball park there is. Those are like, I know this sounds crazy to some of you, but those are like sacred places to me. I love it. There's something therapeutic about it. No average human should mow their grass as well as they mow those places, but in those environments, it's great. It's cool. It's a really neat thing. And this past summer, so now pushing 9 months ago or so, I got to experience a few of them that I had never been to, but one of them was at the real top of that list because of its age and its history and its beauty. I got to go, and I actually got to do it with my family, which makes it even better. We got to go together to a place called Fenway Park in Boston. And this is, again, one of the last two oldest remaining baseball parks in America, and it's got all sorts of history and allure, and I'm not really a Red Sox fan. I'm a baseball fan, but to get to go here was incredible, and it really came about because of a unique opportunity with some remarkably generous friends who had spent some time in Boston and had some connections in Boston and were willing to connect some dots for us, and we just kind of worked out with some of the logistic pieces. And this first picture it's a picture that we took from the field. We actually got to go on the field before the game, which then it's like double bucket list or something. Like there's another category it slides into. Like in the ballpark is bucket list, on the field is like double bucket list. And so that's a picture we just took from the field, looking up at the press box with the Fenway Park thing there. And then I'll show you one more picture, just because you didn't have a bucket list, apparently, some of you, and I did, so I'm trying to help you. This is from where we were seated, and where just kind of we got to see, and it's really good seats in this really old ballpark, and it's old, and part of the reason it's old is because they don't want to, if they remodel parts of it, they have to jump through all these new, like, codes, city codes and everything, like they're grandfathered in right now. And so the seats are about, if you think an airplane seat is small, you got to go, like, sit in this part. It is as small as could possibly get. They're close together. There's no leg room, but it's part of the mystique and the art and everything else. And so these were our seats, and we took some really cool video from there and everything. It was this great experience, like truly a bucket list thing for me. And the way a bucket list item usually happens is you might do some work for it, you might save for it, you might whatever, but somewhere the opportunity comes. The right amount of things come together, right? The right dates, the right events, the right openings, the right financial condition, the right, whatever it is, there's some opportunities come together. That's really what you're doing when you get a bucket list thing, is you're seizing an opportunity. And you might have done some work for it, but if it's truly a bucket list thing, it took something more than you. Right? It probably took something more than you. The experience we had at Fenway was not a normal ballpark experience. It took something more than me. It it took some opportunity I never would have been able to create on my own. And then there's always like the obstacle again. There's a logistical thing. There's the how do you get there. There's all those kind of things, right? You know how it is to drive in the Midwest and then east and the Northeast in the summer, right? You get on a highway and like every 2 miles there's road construction, right? It's just kind of how it works traveling that time of year, right? And so there's obstacles in the way. You kind of got to persevere through some things and work through that. But it's bucket list. This message to this city called Philadelphia from Jesus, it really is, in many ways, it's a bucket list mini message for him. And today, I want to help us see just one of the bucket list items. It's the biggest bucket list item from Jesus to people. It's his biggest bucket list. It's the biggest one he invites us into. And so I want to just look at it together. If you got a Bible, I really want you to turn here. Revelation chapter 3. Revelation chapter 3 is where we're going to be. We're going to read just a little bit of what we just experienced through hearing and what I hope you felt a little bit as you listen to and absorb those words. Revelation chapter 3, starting in verse 7, says this: to the angel of the church of Philadelphia. Now, I'll give you this little tidbit about this mini message. It's the only message of the 7 messages Jesus delivers to churches in this context. It's the only one where everything that Jesus has to say is a celebration. Everything he has to say is a pat on the back and encouragement. Atta boys and girls, here we go. It's full of affirmation. Now, it's full of honesty. They're in a tough pocket, and Jesus acknowledges all of their pain and all of their struggle and all of the tension. Like, it's not that he sugarcoats things, but as far as how they're living, man, it's really good. Which is part of, I think, why he can offer a bucket list message to them. They're ready for it. They're in really good condition and shape. And this is what he says. We'll keep reading. These are the words of him. It's Jesus, who is holy and true. He's the ultimate source of truth. He's the beginning and the end. He's timeless. He's going to get the last word on things. He is supreme and he is king. He holds the keys of David, which is this little symbol of the keys of life and death. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. The door of opportunity that Jesus creates, it is the door of opportunity. Nobody else can close that. Verse 8, this is where we're going to hang out for a little bit. I know your deeds. I know what you're up to. And he says, now look. And if you want to know, like, what's the one command of the entire letter of Revelation, it's that one word. It's look. Over and over and over and over again, the story and the push of Revelation is look, because what is Jesus doing? He's trying to reveal himself. That's what he said in the very beginning. The whole point of the book of Revelation, the letter of Revelation, is it's a revelation of Jesus, from Jesus, by Jesus, about Jesus. The entire letter is pointing back to him. So over and over you get this: see, look, listen, hear, notice, awake. He's literally saying to these people who he loves and who he's affirming, hey, look, because I'm going to awaken even more in you. Look, because I'm going to rouse you to some new activity in something. Like, I know what you're doing, but look. I'm going to show you even more. We're getting into some bucket list stuff now. Look, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. He makes this general statement, right? Whatever door God opens, it's open. Whatever door God shut, it's shut. But then he narrows it in. He says, hey, to you, church in Philadelphia, church in Asia, church in North America, church in West Michigan, church in Caledonia, in Middleville, church, like he's just narrowing it down. Saying this is the invitation for everybody. Like, I've got before you an open door, and it is open, and because I'm the one that opened it, nobody can close it. You can't close it. They can't close it. Your enemy can't close it. It is an open door. And all that Jesus is really talking about there is, hey, look, I'm giving you an opportunity. Open doors represent opportunities. I'm putting before you an opportunity. And this opportunity, you can't close the door of the opportunity.
But just before we talk about the opportunity, let's be clear on one thing. You may not be able to close the door on the opportunity, but you can't ignore it. You can't ignore the opportunity. Listen, you're like, man, Jesus, opportunity. She's got a bucket list for me. Let's go. I'm taking notes, bro, faster. But look, before we go there, you got to understand that you can't ignore the open door. And part of the reason Jesus might have led the sentence with, look, let me rouse you to some activity. Look, I know what you're doing, and it's great, and it's amazing. Now let me rouse you. It might have been because some of them were ignoring or missing the opportunity that Jesus was setting in front of them. So before you even know what the opportunity is today, part of the question will be, do I really want to see it? Do I trust Jesus enough to say, I want to see the opportunity? I will not ignore the door. It doesn't matter what's in the open door. Jesus is the one that opened the door. Is that enough for me? Is that enough for me? See, because with Jesus, he's like, okay, here it is. Like, I got this open door, and nobody can close this door. Please don't ignore it. Please don't just pass it by. Please don't miss it. Like, it's wide open. And this open door represents opportunity. And the opportunity, it's really two things that are sandwiched together as one. I have to pull them apart so that we can see them. But what I really need you to do at the end of the day is like push them back together as one. It's one connected whole idea. The first one is it's the opportunity of living with Jesus as Savior and Lord. It's living with Jesus as Savior and Lord. You might call it salvation. You might call it this is beginning the relationship with Jesus. That's all true. We know this matters, like this is why Jesus came, right? This is bucket list stuff for Jesus. Relationship with you is bucket list stuff for Jesus. You might not be anybody else's bucket list. But you're Jesus' bucket list. Jesus' greatest dreams are about being in relationship with people like you and me. His greatest dreams. Jesus' greatest dreams are about being in relationship with people like us together. It's living with him as Savior, but also as Lord. Like we let him call the shots. We trust what he puts in the open door. We let him lead. We let him guide. We don't use his salvation. We don't use and abuse his forgiveness. We submit to his leadership. He really does get to be king. He gets to be ruler. He's not up for vote. Right? Like I know it's an election year for us, but God's kingdom doesn't work like our system. Jesus just established he's king. And that's the first part of this reality. It's like, oh man, okay, I have an opportunity. I have an opportunity to be living with Jesus as Savior and Lord. And listen, if you're not a follower of Jesus, what I hope you see today is that you really are God's bucket list. And God, in order to accomplish the bucket list, to make the bucket list available, was willing to pay that most ultimate price. He pushed all of his life savings to the middle of the table. He pushed all of the resources of his kingdom to the middle of the table and gave them up for you in the person of Jesus so that you could be with Jesus. That's how committed he is to relationship with you, and that's how deeply he views you as a bucket list relationship person. It's incredible to me. Still incredible to me. Now, the second part of the opportunity, and again, at the end of the day, I need you to mesh these back together. We have to separate them in order to really see them because a lot of us will leave one part or other just in the closet somewhere and not really fully embrace it or understand it. But the second one is sharing Jesus as Savior and Lord. It's sharing Jesus as Savior and Lord. Yes, we have this opportunity to be living with Jesus and Savior and Lord, but now we've got this opportunity as part of that to be sharing Jesus as Savior and Lord. This is what, Jesus said. He's like, yeah, I came to, reach you and give you salvation and direction, but I came to do that for all people, and the way I came to do that for all people is through people who are already following me. Like people who are following me, they help other people follow me. People who are following me but not really interested in helping other people follow me are not actually really following me. See, the same door of opportunity includes both of those. There's not like a door for your salvation that you pick and then a door for somebody else's that you can kind of ignore or keep closed. It's one door of opportunity. It is salvation through Jesus for anybody who would take it. And Jesus says, I'm giving you this opportunity. Now listen, this is how bucket list this is for Jesus, okay? This is how significant this is. Jesus tells stories, in his time on earth, he tells stories like this where he says, hey, look, this is such a big deal to me that if you put me in a room with 99 people who are following me, I will literally walk away out the door from them to go get the one who is not. And that's really uncomfortable in a culture and a society where we are bent towards all things serving us. We pay for the best service. We pay for the best contracts. We go places where we think we get the best service, where they have the best opportunities for us and our kids and our family, right? And yet Jesus says, man, I love you. Your bucket list for me. But if you really want to keep being with me, this is where I'm going. It's how I got to you. It's how we're getting to others. Like, let's go. And so there is this opportunity where Jesus says, look, like, come be with me in this. Come be with me in this. Got this opportunity. And so one of the driving questions of our life very simply becomes, who do I have opportunity with? If the door is open and I can choose to ignore it, but I can't close it, if I know this is the heartbeat of Jesus, if I know it's what he did for and in the church in Philadelphia, and it was a timeless message to timeless churches, then who do I have opportunity with? Who do I have influence with? Who's at my table most often in life? Who's at the table of my conversations? Who's at the table of my life that I just seem to have peace with them? I just seem to have credibility with them, and if I'm really honest, I'm not even sure why sometimes. I'm not even sure why that person likes me or listens to me or lets me in their orbit. You got any of those people? You're like, I just don't, this does not make sense. But for whatever reason, they hear you, they like it when you're around. Who is that person? Who are those people? Don't worry about how they got there. Just recognize they are there. Because somewhere along the way, no matter how long you've been a Jesus follower, if you are a Jesus follower, there were those people in your life. It might have been a family member, it might have been a grandma, it might have been a school teacher, it might have been a friend, it might have been a neighbor, it might have been but there was somebody in your life that for whatever reason, they had influence. They had enough credibility with you. They had some level of trust with you. Who do you have influence with? Who's on your team? Who's in your classroom all the time? Who are you living next to? Who do you work with? Who do you share your hobbies with? Who is that person that you just kind of feel like wherever you sit down, they end up around the same table? Who is that? Who do you have opportunity with? Now, can I just touch on something here for a second for us? What I know is happening for some of us is we're listening to this and we have a couple internal reactions that are happening. One of them is a sense of guilt and pressure about, John, just talk about money instead of this. Please, let's talk about money instead. Like, okay, no, we'll do that a different time, but yeah. And then there's this other, but I'm so scared. Like, what if I don't know how, and I don't want to lose friendships, and I don't want to risk, and I don't want to be that person, and I don't want to right? I understand. Here's all that is. Here's all that is. Like, that's just reminding us that we have to pull back and we just have to remember that every opportunity has obstacles. Every opportunity has obstacles. Every advancement in your life, it has obstacles. It has pitfalls. It has sharp turns. It has steep banks along the road. It's got potholes. Every opportunity has obstacles. And Jesus knows that. Like, I want to just go back and finish this verse that we landed in the middle of. The middle of verse 80, he says this, I know that you have little strength. There's this huge door of opportunity in front of you, church in Philadelphia. There's this huge group of people, and while you are being persecuted by the people who are really trying to protect the religious power of the day, it was a much greater threat in Philadelphia than Rome was. It's just the religious people of the day. I know you're getting all sorts of pressure from them. They're ridiculing you. They're actually setting you up to be killed. Like, you have obstacles, and I know that because of that, you have little strength. The lack of energy, the lack of understanding how to keep moving forward, like it's an obstacle. The door is wide open, but how do we best seize the opportunity? She says, I know you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and you have not denied my name. Yet you've kept my word. You've held true to who I am, and you are holding true to my bucket list. You are holding true to the core of my heart. You are dreaming my dream, which is for all people to walk through the door and understand the opportunity to be living with Jesus as Savior and Lord. There's an obstacle. Jesus is not saying it's easy, perfect, smooth. Jesus is saying this is an incredible opportunity, and it has obstacles. When it comes to us being people who would share Jesus with other people, if you're a Jesus follower and you think, okay, but when I think about sharing Jesus with other people and all the pressure that comes with it and all the guilt that comes with it and all the pressure, we just got to identify the obstacles. And there's several of them, but I want to get to what I think is the most foundational core one or couple ones, especially in our culture. And we actually can find them inside of questions. I think we're often asking the wrong questions, or we are wrongly prioritizing the questions. We are often thinking about sharing Jesus with people that we love, and we are first asking questions like, do I have to do this, and what if I don't know how? And what if I get it wrong? And do I have to, if I didn't share Jesus today with people around my table, am I an epic failure and is God kicking me out of heaven? Right? if I didn't share Jesus the last 19 times I was with Larry, does that mean I'm a terrible Jesus follower? Do you hear the obstacle that gets created in that is tons of guilt and shame and then ridicule, and then all we're trying to do is perform, and we're just trying to get something, we're just trying to accomplish a task, right? Which does not sound very bucket listy to me, right? Now, are there right questions about how do we do this and how do we, in a relational, winsome but powerful and supernatural way, share Jesus? Of course there are. But can I just give us a different starting point question? The real starting point question isn't, do I have to? Because if we're really following Jesus, we will want the thing Jesus wants, right? We will want that. If we are really following Jesus, we will want what he wants, yes? Which is people to be in saving relationship with him for the sake of eternity. So the question then, instead of do I have to do this, or am I going to get it wrong, am I going to blow it up, is what if we just started with what do I really want for this person? What if we just started asking, what do I really want for this person? This person in my life who I say that I love and that for whatever reason is constantly around the tables I sit at, and who I somehow level have influence, and who I really enjoy on some level. What do I want for that person? Not what am I trying to accomplish, but what do I want for that person? People that we really love, that's our question, right? What do I really want for that person? Don't worry about if I didn't do this today, did I fail? No, like you might have done everything today and failed because the answer to the question wasn't right. Like this question, like, what do I really want for that person? Do I want them to make a response to Jesus so I feel better about myself? Do I want them to make a response to Jesus so that I feel like a more spiritual person? Do I want them to make a response to Jesus so I can feel like, whoo, I must be good with God? Right? What do I want for that person? So I want you just to begin to think about, like, who is somebody in your life that you know that doesn't know Jesus that you wish would know Jesus? Just begin to think about it. Like, and for most of you who are Jesus followers, you have several. If you're a Jesus follower and you have nobody in your life that doesn't know Jesus, we have to have a whole different conversation on a whole different day. But think about the person, the friend, the family member, the neighbor, the classmate, the teammate, the whatever it is. And then just answer this question, fill in this blank. What do I want for? What do I want for? What do you want for that person? What do you want for that family? What do you want for that individual? What do you want for that group of people? And look, I'm talking about people you know. People you know. You can pray for famous people, and I'm hoping you're praying for politicians and all that stuff. You should be, but what do I want for the person I know? What do I want for them? And what do you want for them? Answer the question. Like, what do you want for them? There's a couple that Erica and I know, and they've got a really good thing going. They've got a really good life. They have a really good relationship. They have a really good family. They're very fun. They're candidly some of the most giving people we know. They're just unbelievably kind and giving. And when I think about them, though, what I think is, man, I so desperately want them to know the beauty and the power of living for a purpose beyond just this life. I want them to know that part of what they're doing is triggered and launched by very eternal questions. God said in the scriptures that he put eternity in our heart, like there is a spiritual honing device in our heart. And what I really want is for that spiritual honing device in them to be dusted off and cleared off, and the debris and the deception of all things good. And look, I want all things to stay good for them, all of it. But man, I long for the day I could see them live with the beauty and the power of a Jesus-shaped purpose. There's this guy who I know, doesn't know Jesus. Candidly, at this stage, doesn't want anything to do with Jesus. That conversation's not even on the table right now. But his life is marked by as much hurt as anybody as I've ever known. And you know how some people have hurt and you think, that was your own fault, bro. And other people have hurt and you think, I can't believe that's the hand you've been dealt. You know, hurt's hurt, but you understand how we get there differently sometimes? I can't believe the hand he's been dealt. And while sometimes there's frustration and everything else, what I really want for him, I don't want him to check a box. I don't want him to join a church. I want him to know that even after all his hurt, I want him to somehow know in an experiential way that the God of all creation is still looking at him, has not walked away, has not been unfaithful to him, has not abandoned him. I want him to know that he is still a prize. I want him to know that he is God's bucket list. There's another person that is in our life that I think about a lot, and I think, man, it'd be easy to say, man, if just the right argument would win the day, if just the whatever, but what I really want is for them to know the smothering, all-encompassing, wrapping compassion of Jesus. That's what I really want them to know. I want them, I don't want them to just pray a prayer. I don't want them to just use a religious formula. I want them to have such an encounter with Jesus that they would lose their breath at the depth and the fullness of Jesus' compassion for them. I want that for these people in my life. And it's so important for me. And it's so important for you. It's so important for us to stay in touch with what do we really want for people. Would we want the type of relationship experience that Jesus wants with them? Because Jesus said the door of opportunity is wide open. It's wide open. This is your moment. Hey, Philadelphia. Hey, Journey. Hey, the door's wide open. Quit listening to everybody else say, nobody wants to respond. The door's wide open. The opportunity is in front of us to let Jesus' bucket list be part of our bucket list and then to live the bucket list together. I've talked to you a lot about my grandpa, who was a huge influence in my life. He filled in so many father voids really early in my life at the youngest days. He was a gift to me, bigger than life. And one of the things I love to do is just be wherever he was, right? Wherever he was, that's where I wanted to get. It just didn't really, I was really young, it didn't really matter. And he had this 1976-ish green Chevy pickup truck. And it wasn't exactly this one, but I want to show you one that was similar to, right? It was kind of like this. And it was about this shade of green, and he ended up with a white cab on the back and things like that. And he had this truck, and to me, he was bigger than life, which meant the truck was bigger than life, right? Truck was bigger than life. And he would sometimes say to me, I'd be at their house, and he'd say, hey, John, you wanna go for a ride in the big truck? You wanna go for a ride in the big truck? And it didn't really matter what the rest of the sentence was or question was about where we were going. The answer was just yes. You wanna go with me? And in this little small house, and me sitting in one side of a living room, and him kind of being just on the edge of the living room and kitchen, and get a super small house and heading towards the back door. John, you wanna go? You wanna go in the big truck? You wanna jump in the big truck? Yes, because wherever he was going is where I wanted to go. Wherever he was going is where I wanted to go. And listen, part of the opportunity we're standing in is, to me, it takes me back to those childhood days. And it's a little like Jesus even now saying, hey, John, come on, you want to get in the truck? Let's go. Truck's running. The opportunity is here. Do you want to go? I'm going, the door is open. I'm going to reach John, I got a bucket list about that person and that couple and that family. They're on my bucket list. And John, I'm going. You going? Let's go. John, I've actually made you for this moment. I've made you for that family in particular, or those people. John, that's what I've made my followers for, is to be with me and then help other people be with me so that all of you together could be like me. Truck's running. Hey, John, you want to go? Truck it. Let's go. And I want to, listen, I understand there are obstacles, but I want to say yes to that invitation from Jesus as quickly and readily as I said yes to my grandpa's invitations to get in a truck and go wherever he was going. Truck's running, friends. The truck is running. Ask the right question first. What do I want for whoever? What do I want? Jesus said to a bunch of people like us, I've opened this door. And nobody can close the door. You can ignore it. But the people that I'm trying to invite through the door, they're bucket list people for me, just like you are bucket list person for me. I got a dream for them just like I got a dream for you. I dream about being with them just like I dream about being with you. And I got the truck around. Will you come with me? Like, let's go to them. Today, I think the question is unbelievably clear to us. We just need to slow down long enough to answer it fully. The question is a little bit back towards where we started. Like, who do you have opportunity with? Who do you have opportunity with? What are the names of the people you have opportunity with? See their faces. Feel their story. Feel your want for them. What do you want for them? Who are the people you have opportunity with?